So after another hectic weekend in the Championship, we are back for another episode of the Championship Roundup. We've got a lot to discuss in today's video, and in the second half of the video, we will be going over my Carabao Cup score predictions for what I think is going to happen in midweek. But as always, I'm interested to get your guys' views on what you made of your team's performance. So before we do get into talking about any of the matches, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. FIFA actually beat me this week. FIFA got 2 of their score predictions correct. I only managed the 1. So hopefully we'll look to bring that back next week, but without any further ado, let's hop into talking about some of these games. So starting things out with the early kickoff between Derby and West Brom, this one being quite a dramatic game where there were some quite controversial decisions going on. Derby took the lead after just 6 minutes through the penalty spot, Martin Waghorn converting that one after he was brought down in the box by Kieran Gibbs. After that, there were some dodgy penalties given in this one. Derby had the perfect chance to make it 2-0 after they were awarded the second penalty for a Kravinovic handball. Watching the replay back, I don't think it should have been a penalty, and in many ways justice was done, as Sam Johnson did save that one. From open play though, Derby were creating some decent opportunities, and if they did manage to get that second goal before half-time, it's a completely different dynamic going into that second half. You know, Waghorn and Marriott were working quite well off each other. One player who's not quite convinced me so far in the Derby shirt has been Kieran Dowell. Maybe he's just taking a bit of time to settle in, but I don't think he's been all too effective for them recently. Towards the end of this game, we had even more drama though. Pereira going down in the box from a challenge from Max Lowe. In real time, I thought it was a penalty, but watching the replay back, there was no contact in there, and Pereira just did take a dive for it. Zohore then slots that penalty away to make it 1-1, and that was how that game did finish. To add more drama to it, towards the end of the game, Slaven Bilic was sent off for protesting with the officials, so a really dramatic one, a good watch. I think that Derby will be ruining some of their missed opportunities. And then we had Luton beating Barnsley by 3-1. Now, this game was pretty much over before it even began. Luton found themselves 2-0 up after just 4 minutes. Barnsley in the first half were in absolute shambles, you know, they were all over the place at the back, and Luton took full advantage of that. Looking at Luton's fixtures from the start of the season, I'd say that on paper, it probably was one of the toughest run-ins, so to get their first 3 points of the season away at Barnsley, they'll be hoping to build a bit of momentum from this, but a really good team performance. Butterfield took the lead after 2 minutes, and then after a corner was swung back into the box, Collins made it 2-0 after just 4 minutes. Radlinger a little bit weak for that goal, and then Cornick did the third on the 31st minute. Like I said, Luton, very good team performance. Barnsley, maybe it is because they're bedding in a lot of new players into this team and it's going to take a while for them all to gel, but this performance looked like they were carrying too many passengers. Wilkes pulled one back for Barnsley in the second half with quite a tidy finish actually after some nice combinations, but overall it was a poor showing from Barnsley, and Luton are now up and running for the season. And then we saw Blackburn drawing 0-0 with Cardiff. Not the best game going on this weekend, but even so a decent point for both sides, where either of them could possibly have walked away with all 3 points from this one. Both sides hit the crossbar, both goalkeepers I thought had a decent game, especially Christian Walton for Blackburn Rovers produced some top saves throughout this one. Blackburn have now kept 3 clean sheets in a row, and considering, you know, their defence was looking quite fragile at the start of the season, so I think that that's a decent record for them, and for Cardiff to be picking up a clean sheet on the road as well, I also think is a good omen for them going forward. Danny Graham had a couple of decent chances fall to him in this one, he just couldn't quite find the back of the net, but defensively Cardiff were looking a lot more organised than they have done in previous weeks, so a 0-0 draw, not the worst result in the world for either side. And then we saw Charlton continue their impressive start to the season with a 1-0 win over Brentford. Now, looking at the match stats for this game, that pretty much goes to sum up what it was. It was a complete smash and grab from Charlton Athletic, but fair play to them. A lot of the same issues from last season have been reoccurring for Brentford so far, when they would completely dominate a match, have a lot of half chances, but they couldn't quite get anything over the line. You have to give credit to Charlton though with the way they defended. Pearson, especially Tom Lockyer, were absolutely outstanding for this game. Like, they would not be beaten. And considering the budget that Charlton were working on this year with their recruitment, some of the players they brought in, I think they've uncovered some real gems for this one. The goal they scored, some really nice work from Johnny Williams in midfield to win it back. He put in a brilliant ball into Gallagher, and he slotted away for the only goal of the game. Gallagher and Lyle Taylor so far have both been excellent, you know. When a chance comes around, they're always going to take it. So they're banging form at the moment. Charlton with a fantastic 3 points. Brentford were left frustrated. I don't think a lot of people saw this next one coming, but Forest beating Fulham by 2-1. I stand by something that I said about Forest a few weeks ago, that they are by far one of the toughest sides to make a prediction for, because you never quite know where their performance levels are going to be at. But the first goal they scored after 4 minutes by Lewis Grabban, absolutely brilliant build-up play for this one. Every single Nottingham Forest player had a touch on the ball, some brilliant flicks throughout midfield, and then the ball was flashed across goal and Lewis Grabban superbly tucked it away. If you put Lewis Grabban in those positions, he's always going to score goals. Despite having quite a slow start to the game, Fulham did start to grow into the game. One player who I was very impressed by for Nottingham Forest though was Samba in goal for them. I thought that he kept Fulham at bay. He looked composed, made some very good saves for this one and actually gave the backline a bit more confidence. Forest then doubled their lead in the second half, Lewis Grobban once again being the scorer. Amiobi brilliantly won the ball back after Fulham had cheaply given it away. Amiobi's another player who I've been totally wrong with so far for Nottingham Forest, you know. When they signed him from Bolton, I thought that it's a bit of a desperate, cheap signing. I didn't think he'd have much of an impact on Forest this season after being quite inconsistent for Bolton, but so far I've been wrong about him. Amiobi's looked excellent. Mitrovic did grab a goal back for Fulham in the 83rd minute, but Forest were able to hang on for all 3 points and a superb victory on the road. And then we had Reading beating Huddersfield by 2-0. Reading's impressive run continues into this weekend. Ajaria once again getting on the score sheet. I think the partnership that him and Swift have had so far this season, some brilliant link-up play between them, and he took his goal very well. Morrison made it 2-0 for Reading after a corner had been swung in the 84th minute, and Reading now find themselves in the top half of the table. Who knows what's possible for this Reading side? You know, I think that their recruitment over the summer has been very positive, and all these new players that have come into the squad I think have clicked instantly, and they'll be an interesting side to watch in the long run as to how they get on. The same can't be said for Huddersfield at the moment, who, especially in the final third, are lacking any real cutting edge or quality, and I don't think there's any question that that team's short on confidence at the moment. They did have some decent performance throughout this one though. You know, Grabber I thought in goal had a good game, Brown had a decent one, and Chalobah looked good in midfield. It's just in the final third from open play, things haven't been happening for Huddersfield, and something needs to happen sooner rather than later, because after 5 games to only have 1 point, the negativity that those results can breed over the course of a season if this carries on for much longer really could be damaging for Huddersfield for the rest of the season if they don't pick it up soon. We have Bristol City beating Hull by 3-1 as they continue their impressive start to the season. Benik Afobe gave the away side the lead after just 41 minutes from the penalty spot. Afobe's been someone who I've got to say I've been pleasantly surprised by for Bristol City so far this season. Looks to be a completely different player from his time last season at Stoke City, where he was a striker devoid of all confidence. I really think he's fitting well at Bristol City so far. Bristol City had the perfect opportunity to make it 2-0. Jeju had a crashing header come off the crossbar and bounce off the line. Unlucky that that didn't go in. But Hull responded just before half-time through Jared Bowen as he finished a 1-on-1 excellently. Hull had chances to make it 2-1, you know, but Daniel Bentley once again making some massive saves for Bristol City. Another player who I've been really impressed by so far. Thankfully for Bristol City though, they were really gifted that second goal that they got, a Burke own goal. And then the third goal scored by Afobe once again was quite similar to the own goal actually. The ball out on the left-hand side flashed across goal. That time Afobe was on the end of it to make it 3-1 to Bristol City. So a really good away performance for Bristol City, another 3 points on the road. With Hull, I think there have been weaknesses in their game so far, but it wasn't a disaster of a performance, you know. If it wasn't for Daniel Bentley making a wonder save at 1-1, it could have been a completely different outcome. Then we have Middlesbrough drawing 1-1 with Millwall. Middlesbrough have been a really weird side so far this season because we've not really seen them play well over 90 minutes. We've seen them have a lot of performances so far where one half they won't turn up and then the next half they'll play really well. That was the case in this game. First off, Borough nowhere to be seen really. Millwall had the better of it and probably should have gone into half-time leading this one with some of the chances they had. But Middlesbrough were much improved after the break. In the end of the first half, we actually saw Neil Harris sent off and sent to the stands for the second half. So him and Slaven Bilic both being sent off this weekend. But like I said, Middlesbrough much better after the break. They were creating more chances. Paddy McNair looked good and he actually put Borough in front with a nice finish in the 70th minute. That lead wasn't to last for too long though. A bit of weak defending for the goal that Millwall got back into the game. Tom Bradshaw with the final touch in it. And in the end, 1-1 was how this game did finish. Middlesbrough had a couple of penalty appeals which were waved away for handball. So they were left to be frustrated with those decisions. But so far into the season, I'm still waiting for that fully complete performance from Borough where they dominate a full match. We've not quite seen that from them yet. And then we had Northend beating Wednesday by 2-1. This game being decided by 2 penalties. Daniel Johnson scoring them both for the home side. And DJ, so far this season, has been in unbelievable form. Since being moved back up to that number 10 position, he scored 4 goals, got 2 assists and 2 man of the match performances as well. He's been excellent and really has been excelling in this season so far. It's great to see. In terms of open play, there weren't really that many chances for this one, you know. For the majority of the first half, Preston had a lot of possession but weren't really that penetrating. For Sheff Wednesday, Moses Odebajo had a bit of a nightmare. He gave away both penalties, fouling Shawnee Maguire on both occasions for this one, and overall was just a game to forget for him. In the second half, Preston did have some other decent opportunities. DJ hit the crossbar, and Tom Barkhuizen had a chance to just go over the bar as well. I thought that in terms of Sheff Wednesday, they looked much better after the changes that they'd made, you know, bringing on the likes of Forestieri, Adam Reach and Nuhiu. I thought they were looking much more of a threat going forward, and towards the end of the game, you know, we really were hanging on for that last 10 minutes or so. They were pumping balls into the box. Jayden Stockley, our striker, actually went to play as a centre-back for the last 10 minutes to man-mark Nuhiu. But we just about managed to hang on to things, and a very impressive win for North End, you know, after winning in midweek as well. 3 games at Deepdale so far this season and 3 victories. Hopefully we'll make that a bit of a fortress this season, but a nice way for Preston to start the season for sure. QPR beat Wigan by 3-1, who now find themselves in the relegation zone after not winning since the opening day of the season. I think that Paul Cook is a manager who is becoming under increasing pressure now. You know, performances need to turn around, and especially results sooner rather than later. Wigan did take the lead in this game through Kipri after just 2 minutes, but QPR really turned up for the second half. Naki Wells with a tidy finish in the second half to make it 1-1. Eze from a free kick made it 2-1. If any game goes to sum up Jordan Hugill as a footballer, this was precisely it. To rub salt into the wounds, Wigan were linked with Hugill throughout the summer, but at 2-1 he missed an absolute sitter of a chance. I'm sure you guys have seen it by now, but he was about 3 yards out and somehow managed to blaze the ball over the crossbar. But in fairness to him, a few minutes later he did come up with a very tidy finish and made it 3-1 after a curling effort into the bottom corner. And overall I have liked Hugill at QPR so far. I think he'll be a good option for them, but just can be a little bit inconsistent in front of goal. A good way for QPR to get back to winning ways. Wigan on the other hand, Paul Cook's becoming under increasing pressure now, and things need to change sooner rather than later. And then we had Leeds completely tearing apart Stoke, beating them by 3-0. Probably was the best we've seen of Leeds so far this season in terms of some of the link-up play, the intricate little 1-2s in midfield. Pablo Hernandez pulling the strings for them once again. And it's Stoke side at the moment. I mean, their confidence is rock bottom. They conceded 6 goals in their last 2 matches. They're sat bottom of the league at the moment, and it really is a bit of a dire situation at the club at the moment. Even this early on in the season, interestingly enough, it does look like the club is still backing Nathan Jones as the right man, but they need to turn this around sooner rather than later. Like I was saying before though, Pablo Hernandez is the magic man for Leeds at the moment. The assist for the first goal for Dallas, beautifully weighted pass. He slotted away excellently. He was involved in setting up the second goal, getting the ball into Bamford. Eventually Alioski put that one away. But Hernandez's ball through for the third goal that Leeds scored was absolutely fantastic. It took the whole Stoke team out of the game. The ball went into Alioski. His shot was eventually rebounded back to Patrick Bamford, who was able to slot in and make it 3-0 to Leeds. A really complete performance from Leeds United, who I've been very impressed by so far. I think they've looked excellent. I think that everyone's pulling their weight in that side at the moment. Interestingly for Stoke as well, they also did drop Jack Butland after his performance in midweek and after, you know, being really sluggish so far this season. So that's an interesting one to keep your eye on over the rest of the season as to if he does manage to forge his way back into the side. But Leeds looking very good, and to make things even worse for Stoke, they're playing Leeds in midweek as well. And then to round things off, we had Swansea beating Birmingham by 3-0 on Sunday. I must say, the more I watch this Swansea side, the more I'm starting to really like them, and the more I'm thinking that they could feasibly do something this season. After what was quite a drab first half, Swansea really turned it on for the second half. Kyle Norton, maybe quite an unexpected goal scorer, but a really nice finish with his right foot into the bottom corner to beat Lee Camp to make it 1-0. Not long after that, Burson Salina made it 2 with a crashing finish, and then Borja Baston from the penalty spot made it 3-0 to Swansea, who currently sits second in the Championship. It really has been a good start for them. I think that in possession so far this season, they've been looking very good. They create a lot of chances per game, and they've been clinical, you know. Some of the options they've got at the front of the pitch, you know, the likes of Borja Baston, AU, Burson Salina in midfield, then they're looking really good, and defensively they've looked strong so far. Birmingham really offered nothing throughout this match. They didn't have a shot on target. I thought they were really weak. In Birmingham's 3 away performances so far this season, they've only had 3 shots on target in the entirety of them, so they're averaging 1 shot on target in their away matches, which isn't, you know, good enough. I think they're still tinkering with the system they want to go for this season, and not everyone quite looks comfortable in it yet. Birmingham fans, I'd be interested to get your guys' view on what you've made of your start to the season, but Swansea so far, very impressed. But they were all the games that went on this weekend. So in terms of my goal of the weekend, for me personally, I'm going to give it to Lewis Grobban for his first goal against Fulham. I thought that in terms of a team goal, everyone got a touch on the ball, a brilliant build-up play and a nice finish from Grobban. That gets my goal of the week. And it's going to be the double whammy as well. My result of the week is going to go to Nottingham Forest for beating Fulham by 2-1 away from home. So just before we do round off the video, I will give you guys my Carabao Cup score predictions for the second round of fixtures, which do involve a Championship club. So feel free to leave yours in the comments down below as to what you think will happen. Leeds going up against Stoke for the rematch. Realistically, I can't see Stoke anywhere near this one. I'm going to say 4-0 to Leeds. Nottingham Forest going up against Derby, massive game. Really, that could be a tasty one. I'm going to say 1-1, and then I'll say that Forest will win on penalties. Forest lately I think have been looking very good, but against Derby it's never an easy game. Preston against Hull, I'm going to back North End for a 2-1 home victory at Deepdale. I think that we will make changes in this game, but we look really good at Deepdale so far. Sheff United against Blackburn, I'm going to go for a home victory for that one. I don't see ultimately goals being scored. I'll say 1-0 Sheff United. Cardiff against Luton, I'm going to fancy an upset in that one. Luton to get a bit of revenge on Cardiff for earlier on in the season. I'll say 2-1 Luton. Fulham Southampton, I'm going to back the home side for an upset. I'm going to say that Fulham will walk away with a 2-1 home victory and advance to the next round. Oxford against Millwall, I'll go for a 2-2 draw. I'd like to see a few goals in that one, and then I'll say that Millwall will win that one on penalties. Plymouth against Reading, I imagine that Reading will make a few changes for this one as well. I've really liked the look of Reading so far. I'll say 3-2 to the away side. Rotherham against Sheffield Wednesday could be a tasty one as well, and I don't think there'll be all too much in that game. I'll say 1-1 with Sheffield Wednesday winning it on penalties. QPR against Portsmouth. QPR have looked decent at Loftus Road so far. Could use it as an opportunity to give a run out to some people who haven't had all too much game time so far. But I'll just say 2-1 QPR. And then finally we got Swansea going up against Cambridge. For that one, I'll fancy Swansea for a 2-0 home victory. So those are my predictions for what I think is going to happen in the midweek fixtures in the Cup. So let me know down below if you do agree with my score predictions. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up. So thank you very much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It's always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.